Hello my esteemed viewers, our today's topic is known as Introduction to Computer Hardware and Software, Week 4. The course code is known as EEC 112. So we are now on slide 2, which is known as the Graphical User Interface. So a Graphical User Interface, GUI, is a digital interface that allows users to interact with computer applications through visual elements instead of text and commands. So the acronym of Graphical User Interface is known as GUI. It is a digital screen. Like for instance, the visualization refers to a screen of a system that would allow a user to interact with the icons and other applications that are on the computer system. So the GUIS, which is known as the Graphical User Interface, uses graphical components like icons, buttons, and menu to convey information actions to users. So in this scenario, which is this diagram on the system of a screen, those items that are on the screen or applications, they are known as icon that you will be able to have access to and also perform a specific task that the icons required. Our third slide, which is known as the examples of graphical user interface. One, we have the Microsoft Word, the Apple Mac OS, Ubuntu Unity, GNOME Shell, Android, Apple's iOS, BlackBerry OS, Windows 10, Mobile, Palm OS, Web OS, Firefox OS. Those are intermediate between device and user, that they allow individual to have access to a specific task or functions which they intended to take out. So the Apple Mac OS normally takes some website which the Microsoft Windows will not be able to use, but they have created a process whereby there is a version of application that you can use on Microsoft Word, Windows, and also different application that you can use for Apple Mac OS, and it will work as the same function but different website. So Apple OS is also an graphical user interface that allow individual to perform a specific task. So we can see the image of the Microsoft window, which is the first one. Then we have Mac OS. Here is also the image. So this is the differences between them, where both of them are sites that individual will be able to perform a specific task. We are now on the fourth slide, which is known as the advantages of graphical user interface. So one, we have user friendly. The acronym of this GUI is known as the Graphical User Interface. Are easier to learn and use than command lines interface, which is CLI, because they use visual elements instead of complex commands. So it is friendly user. Each and everyone will be able to use it easier with having a basic knowledge. Then we have the ease to navigate. The GUI, which is known as the Graphical User Interface, uses clear menus, icons, and buttons to make it easier to find function and information. So with the help of the ease navigation, once you go to search button, it will allow you to search whatever you intended. If you wanted to go through calculator or Chrome or WhatsApp, Facebook, you just have to type it, then it will now bring it out. It makes it easier for individual to navigate from one icon to another, so reduce errors. So graphical user interface element, just an confirmation prompt to minimize mistakes. So with the help of this, your mistake will have to be reduced. Then we have multitasking. Graphical user interface allow users to work with multiple programs at once. You'll be able to chat on WhatsApp, then you minimize to Facebook, or you minimize to Instagram, or you minimize to Microsoft Word, and so on. So it may allow individuals to work with multitask. The multitask is a process of doing multiple work or entering into different applications in one or in a specific time. So you can go through your Excel after typing on Excel, then you minimize and go to the Word. Afterward, you can minimize, go to Instagram, and so on. So let's look at the visual representation. The GUI, which is known as the graphical user interface, use visual image to represent data, which is easier to recognize than text. At times, some people do have difficult of understanding information through text, but they design images that you'll be able to easily capture it. So shortcut circuit, the GUI, which is graphical user interface, allow users to use shortcut keys to save time and increase productivity. For instance, if you intended to save what you are typing, you go to Ctrl X. If you wanted to create an image to your picture, you can go to #245# and click on it. It can provide different output for you. If you wanted to print, you can go to Ctrl J, and so on. So our slide 5, which is known as what are the benefits of GUI, which is graphical user interface. 1. Ease to use. It is easier to use since data is represented by symbols, shapes, and icons. So users can easily recognize, classify, and navigate options. So since they are classified with a symbol, it is very easier for individual to know that this symbol is for search, this symbol is to log in, and so on. This symbol is to off the system or to go out of the server. So ease to communicate. Visual representation of data is recognized faster than text. So while visual, which is the viewing representation of information, can be easily recognized than a text, which is typing. So attractive and provide shortcuts. So we are now on slide 6, which is known as application program. So an application program is the type of program that you use once the operating system has been loaded. So immediately we on our system, then the process that the system will boot and now becomes stable, that individual will be able to have access. So that's the process of the application programs. So example, including word processing programs. After it boot, before you have access to this word processing programs and other programs. So the word processing programs produce letters, memos, etc. So spreadsheet for the spreadsheet will allow us for doing accounts and working with numbers. Those spreadsheets can be done in offices or organizations like bank and so on. They will be able to take data and analysis of their staffs and the individual that they spend money into the bank, and the name, the payment list, and so on. They will be able to use spreadsheets so that they can keep the data in each columns. So database for organizing large amount of information, will be able to save data into a database, because a database is a container that contains more information that you can retrieve them whenever you intended. So graphic programs which produce pictures, advertisement, and manuals, etc. A word processing program such as Microsoft Word allows letters, memos, etc. You can easily make a list of names and address to customize or subscribe. So let's look at the links for those Microsoft Word. We have http://www Microsoft Word /default/htm. So once you click on this site, if you don't have it on your system, you'll be able to download and have a copy of this with help of this app. Then with the help of this website, then we have Lotus Word Pro, which the link is known as the http://lotus.com/home/.nsf/welcome/words.pro. You'll be able to have the copy of this, or you'll be able to download it on your system following this website. So WordPerfect, here is the link also, www.corel.com/office200.